Hello and welcome back to Shelf Center. This is Bryce. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks for liking and subscribing if this is something you end up enjoying. You never know, it could happen. Well, this is my top shelf news. It's where I discuss news as it relates to fantasy, science fiction, sometimes horror, mostly as it relates to books, but also media. So, let's jump right into it. First things first, this is something I've been complaining about for years, so I'm going to get right into it. The Goodreads Choice Awards have begun. And they're here. We have them every single year. The opening round started November 14th and goes through the 26th of November. Final round is November 28th through December 3rd, and then we have the winners announced December 7th. Now, this will be the, I believe, 7th, if not 8th, possibly more, that I can remember tracking year that I will be boycotting the Goodreads Choice Awards. I'm sorry, and I don't want to do it to authors. It may be due to when my birthday actually is, but I struggle so much, and I've even been memed over this, that I have taken this personally. The Goodreads Choice Awards, they don't necessarily think about the end of the year. Now, I do have to hand it to them. I do feel heard. Maybe it wasn't just me, but I'm going to presume that it was because of my complaining over the last couple years. But usually the first round starts somewhere mid-October. Which I just find to be absolutely insane. But at least this year we have like pretty much a whole month that this has moved back. And so I do have to hand it to Goodreads. Moving the whole Goodreads Choice Awards back a month is pretty good. Because here's my problem. You have an award for the year. Like the whole year, right? It says it's the award for the year, let's say 2023 or 2022. Well, when 2022 happened, that award season started in October of the same year in which the book is awarded. So you're essentially cutting off 2.5 months worth of books that could be coming out. Now, you could have you can get technical on me and you can say, oh, well, it counted still books in that opening round if they got published during that time period. Sure, I guess. But again, it just seems like really not a fair setup, to say the least. But my biggest complaint is you're literally missing at least a sixth of the year. A sixth of the year is kind of a big deal. The whole year. And you're just completely ignoring it, and there's tons of books that come out, and it kind of makes the whole award thing kind of stupid, because a lot of times Brandon Sanderson books come out in the end of the year, and guess who wins Goodreads Choice Awards? It's the Brandon Sanderson books. Now, they say you can nominate, the book for the following year, right? But again, it's a book award for that year. So in 2022, are you really going to be like, hey, let's vote for or put up a book that is from November of 2022 or December of 2022 into 2023? I'll be honest, I've gone into this, it just doesn't seem to happen. So that's where I struggle with it again, maybe because of when my birthday happens in a year. I don't like the December and November people getting neglected, okay? Just feels extremely unfair, to say the least. But if you're going to have an award and call it the entire year award, you'd think you'd be able to include the whole year. But again, hand it to the Goodreads Choice Awards. They actually are having it, a month later. That's good. All right, and another topic that is near and dear to my heart, as I do listen to a lot of audiobooks, as you may or may not have seen if you follow me on this channel. I used to be where it would be, audiobooks was a fraction of the reading that I did in the year, and it has completely changed really in the last 5 to 10 years, where I have lots of kids and have lots of work to do. So those things have made the actual physical reading much more difficult. But I wouldn't change it for the world. Well, I'd change my job. That's the part that sucks. Spotify has started opening up to more audiobooks. This is one of those things where one of my most popular videos on the channel I did an audiobook app review, and I went through the whole list, at least at the time, that seemed really relevant, but I really didn't get a good sense of Spotify because I really hadn't listened to anything on Spotify. Well, now I have, and I have to say, just as a real quick kind of primer, the Spotify actual app itself is definitely comparable to the Audible one. And the Audible one was one that I did give the highest marks to, frankly. And honestly, it comes down to just the sheer selection. But most of them are kind of the same. It just, Audible does not have the bugs that a lot of the other apps had, again, at the time that I made my video. I probably should do an updated video. It's not a bad idea to include somewhat about Spotify. But here's the issue that I'm taking here. Apparently, the model, instead of like Audible, you get a credit, you get a book. It's essentially your book as much as it can be, even though you have to only be able to listen to it through Audible. So there's some kind of, ownership issue. You don't outright own the audiobooks on Audible, but you kind of mostly do. I really like that. I like that kind of being able to have a library of stuff, of books, and be able to refer to it. Now, Spotify, it looks like you get 15 hours per month of audiobook reading. And then once you get over that, you got to pay a little more for it. So, and that's 15 hours with your regular subscription. So again, it would be more. I mean, essentially it would be more anyway, I think, to, if you have an Audible account and to have a music account with Spotify. I mean, I'm doing Amazon Music and Audible just because they're the cheapest, frankly, especially because all the deals that are always there. So, but Spotify, the 15 hours, it's just for a regular audiobook reader like myself. I'm listening to way more than that. It's like 30 hours per 2 weeks probably, so maybe like 60 hours a month, something around there is pretty standard. And they say you can get 2 books in the 15-hour time, which is technically true, and that might be 15 hours might be your normal person, right, that's not reading a whole ton. And technically 7.5 hours it's a pretty standard normal like self-help book maybe, or a number of other books. Not a fantasy tome, right? Not even a science fiction really one either. So 15 hours does seem a little slim. I just don't love the like hours kind of thing, and maybe it's the way that Spotify is addressing the issue that Audible had, which Audible had this issue, and I think they've done a lot to fix it, but it's not perfect. But where people are essentially using it like a library, and you use a credit, listen to the book. Then they had a really easygoing return policy. Here you go. Here's the book back. And go get another book with that credit that you just sold back, essentially. Really not the fair way to go, and not especially to authors, because it's probably good for Audible to have a really, really relaxed return policy. But that's just not fair. If you've read the whole book, you bought the book. And I've been guilty of it myself, so I definitely stopped. Once I kind of realized it wasn't just a library. This is affecting people, so I have to admit my own faults here. I definitely did some of that for a time. No more. It has been years since I've done that. But anyway, I wonder if it's their way of kind of being able to use, you can kind of use Spotify, as I understand it, like a library, and just kind of whatever 15 hours you spend, it's whatever book. Maybe that's a way to get around that whole issue. Fair enough. But again, I like having the library of books. I like having a lot of the stuff. So anyway, that's something for you to decide, and I may, try it out just to be able to put together another video to see how that goes, specifically related to Spotify, and maybe just to everything else, comparing it all. Anyway, that's how it is, just reporting that. I like having the book itself, but it does still constrain you to that book, right? And instead of 15 hours plus or whatever, 25 hours, whatever it ends up being, if you can get a good rate on that, then you can kind of just listen to whatever the heck you want and use it like a library. I don't know. It seems like that's maybe the play on it. I don't know. Anyway, jumping into specific book news instead of this general stuff, James S.A. Corey's got a new trilogy out. And so if you don't know, James S.A. Corey is actually not only the author of The Expanse, but it's actually 2 authors. It's Daniel Abraham and Ty Frank, both being very closely related to George R.R. Martin in the kind of New Mexico writing scene. And I think Ty Frank was even George R.R. Martin's assistant, at least for a time, if not And still, I guess I doubt anymore, since he's a very popular author in and of his own right, with the show that follows it. I am 3 books into the Expanse series, so I'm in. They're just excellent. They're just so much fun, as far as kind of some good old classic sci-fi space opera kind of stuff. It's great. But anyway, The Mercy of Gods, get to it. It's a new trilogy coming out August 6th next year. And the art on the cover is Daniel Dosiu. I am probably slaughtering that name, so I apologize for that. But anyway, good news that they are still going, still making, having more books come out. It's such great news for us readers. I know Daniel Abraham is a workhorse. He has his own series coming out still, the Kithmar, I believe, also I believe from Orbit, both of these from Orbit. So anyway, great news. Then I just learned the Song of the Mysteries, the final book, book 11 of The Wars of Light and Shadow by Janie Wirtz is up for pre-order, so definitely go grab a copy. This is it. This is the time to jump into The Wars of Light and Shadow. One of just my all-time favorite series. There's a reason you haven't seen it yet in my top 100 fantasy book series, because it's going to be up there at the top. Absolutely love it. And anyway, now's the time to jump in, because that final book is coming out soon. Then we've got the conclusion of a series for Brandon Sanderson. We've got Defiant coming out November 21st. There's a whole big Barnes & Noble virtual event that if you pay for the ticket, it's about $30, like $28 or something like that. Then you also get the book, and it's a special book, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, if you want to do that, you can. Sounds great. I know this is a pretty popular series. I have not read any of it. I own a couple of the books, if not all of them. I have a habit of that. But I'll get to it someday. Just not a priority, even close right now. All right, then jumping into media, the media. So we've got, first of all, a bunch of Netflix trailers. I'll let you watch them. You know, do your thing. First one, Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action. So this has been tried as a movie. It's an insanely good cartoon. Excellent. My kids are just have blazed through it and then are watching it again because it's just so good. It's so awesome, and I just kind of jump in whenever I can, and I've enjoyed every single episode I've ever watched. It's looking good, and especially I've said this before, but I honestly think so. With how well One Piece did, I am very excited for this. What's funny is I feel like the actor for Sokka seems like the most spot on of all of them. When I watched this trailer, he just really almost exactly looks like the kid in the cartoon, whereas the others are clearly trying to be the person in the cartoon, but obviously look a little different. But this one has the same smirk. I don't know. They got the perfect guy, it seems like. Anyway, we'll see. The trailer looks good. It didn't, I guess it's a teaser trailer, but it looks good. So far, so good, and I have high hopes for this. Expectations already went through the roof. I can't help it. Then it looks like House of the Dragon Season 2 will be coming out next summer. Summer 2024 is what I have in my notes here. Probably good news for you, I'm sure. Anyway, if there could be anything that got George R.R. Martin actually writing, that'd be great, but it doesn't seem like it's this. It seems like when he has shows coming out, he writes less, as he has announced that he does not want anyone to bug him anymore, which I announced in my last video. But anyway, House of the Dragon, here we go. We're coming up for some more. I assume the writer's strike and all that kind of slowed everything down, slowed it down just like everything else. All right, check out ebook deals down in the comments below, and let me know if you have anything that I missed that I should include in the next video. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks for liking and subscribing, and we will catch you next time. Bye.